And it was fabulous because, you know, I do get asked the question a lot about work-life balance. I'm not married, I don't have kids. I have 7 nieces and nephews, which is wonderful. But so during this period of time, so I work really, really hard, and then I take time off. And then I work really, really hard, and I had another episode taking time off, which is what reminded me of this. But during that first time off, I had 7 nieces and nephews born in a 4-year period. 3 families, you know, from a biology standpoint, it wasn't that amazing. But it was great for me because if I had still been in investment banking, you know, I would have hardly got to see them as infants in the first couple of years of their life. In fact, one sister was trying to teach her 1-year-old son, usually they teach him mama, dada. It was, Aunt Janet, will you babysit me? That was Edgar. But during that period of time, I did a lot of traveling, I played a lot of tennis, I took French classes, I took art classes, I just had a fabulous time. But that's also when I started getting involved in some not-for-profit organizations. Because frankly, at a certain point, you do start to feel like, I've got to do something constructive. And so got involved with the symphony back then, did some work with the museum, and then also some work with Planned Parenthood. So, but then I went back to work. And so, okay, so back to where I was. Santa Fe got bought by Devon, and I could have moved to Oklahoma City. Anybody here from Oklahoma? It's a great place for them. And so, hey, I got another sabbatical. So took about a year off. And again, traveled and had a great time, played a lot of tennis, bike riding, all that sort of thing. And then when I came back to Houston, kind of still stick with that academic calendar, because it was September of 2000 when we got bought, and so I was free to go my way. And came back in September of 2001, because okay, academic calendar, I'm going to get back, I was look for a job, and then, well, 2001, 9/11. So that sort of meant that, okay, energy finance in Houston. Y'all remember Enron? It just struck me that it was almost unseemly to be looking for a job right then. Actually, frankly, after 9/11, it was just kind of hard to get all that straight in your head. So what I did do was get active in not-for-profit organizations because I knew that I wanted to do something worthwhile, and got very involved with New Hope Housing, which is an organization that provides housing, single-room occupancy housing, to adults who are low income and who want to get their act together. You know, it's so hard to get a job if you don't actually have an address. And it's hard to stay sober or stay off drugs if everyone in your neighborhood is doing drugs. So it's a safe place, it's clean, and there's social services provided, etc. So, it was a very good experience for me. But, just as I was really digging into that, I got a job, which I didn't really mean to do, but with Nuevo Energy. A smaller E&P company, and it was a company that was in not great shape and needed to be fixed. Spending too much money, well, a lot more money than they were making. They didn't have good planning processes, they didn't have good accounting, and what was great was I had started at Santa Fe, knowing very little, but had learned a lot in 4 years, so that and they had very good systems and processes and well-staffed, and then when I got to the smaller company that had all these troubles, I knew how to address it. So did that for a couple of years and then got a call from an executive recruiter for the job at Marathon, CFO. And that was a huge step from where I was. Nuevo Energy is about a $200 million market cap company. Essentially, 80% of the activity was in Bakersfield, California. So very relatively simple company, small company, and at the time Marathon was, I think, the 5th largest US-based integrated oil company. And so that means not just oil and gas, but also refining and marketing. That'd be all your convenience stores, your filling stations. And so a huge step up, and I once again had that feeling on the first day of work, like, oh my God, what have I done? I didn't know the first thing about refining, and or marketing for that matter. I don't know how many of y'all really understand the convenience store industry, but it's probably not worth digging into too far. But refining is actually fascinating and very complicated. But so, the moral of this story is I didn't plan out my career at all. I went to Wharton, got an MBA. When I was in college, I kind of figured I'd go that route. The truth is, my dad had an MBA and was CFO of an oil company. So it's probably not completely random that I am where I am. But I didn't map this out. I didn't plan it out. After the MBA, it was 82, everybody wanted to go to Wall Street. You know, so you took the best job, the most prestigious job you got offered, right? So you go to Wall Street. You know, and then gradually figured out that no, I didn't want to be doing that. I wanted to get back into what I call a real company. So I didn't plan any of this out. I certainly didn't plan that going from Santa Fe, which is this big, down to Nuevo, which is this big, up to Marathon, which is way up there. I didn't have any discrete plan for that. But when I saw opportunities, I took advantage of them. And I took opportunities where there was, in fact, a possibility of failing. My first month at Santa Fe, the boss came in the first week and he said, well, I'm going out of town. I'm going to go to Indonesia and Argentina, visit some facilities, and I'm going on vacation, and I'll be back in a month. But just handle your business. Now, by the way, I want to make sure that we get some oil and gas hedged here, okay? And watch out, hedge. Yeah, how do you do that? And then right after he left, you know, I said, okay, we got to go hedge this oil and gas. The market's tanked. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to get fired when he comes back, and it's going to embarrass my parents. I mean, you know that feeling. You know, it was embarrassing your parents. But so I was clearly in a position where I could fail, but it wasn't fatal. And so what you want to do is when you have opportunities, reach, but don't reach too far. Mistakes, fine. You learn a lot from mistakes. Just don't overreach. Now, the reality, at least based on my experience, I have seen very few women overreach. You all probably have seen some, but it's a smaller percentage than men. You often see men think they're qualified for a job that they're not even on the long list to be considered for. And there are times when you say to a woman, you know, I'd really like you to step up. I'd like you to take this promotion and take on this responsibility. And they'll shy away from it and say, well, I don't know, I've never done that before. Well, no, that's why it's called a promotion. You know, you don't have somebody who could be better, you know? And so you have to have that sense of, okay, I'm going to take some risk. Because you never rise up in the ladder and get more responsibility. And frankly, you know, with responsibility comes stress, but it's also fun. Because you can make a difference. You know, you are the one driving the value of that organization, whatever that organization happens to be. So I would encourage all of you to just stretch yourself a little bit. You know, think about what's the downside. You know, if I put in this role, am I just going to have to work really hard? Am I going to have to rely on others for a lot of help? You know, think about how you can structure it, how you can go about it, so that you will not make fatal mistakes. You know, so don't try to be a hero, pretending you know it. You know, the whole investment banker thing, that was fine, because then you could go find out the answer the very next day, right? But in terms of taking on a position where you're a little bit over your head, look for help. Don't think you have to do it all yourself. And it's amazing to me how I see people are still making that mistake. You know, especially in a company like Marathon, we've got a great culture. One of the things that has attracted me to the company is that the culture is all about doing the right thing. Our CEO has the absolute highest ethics and integrity you can imagine. And if there's a single attribute that's important in a leader, it is to have the right values and to live by those values. So it's been a great place for me. I've learned an enormous amount. I've been there almost 9 years, which is the longest I've had any job in my entire career. So, you know, I'll end with a lot of people say people hate change. Not true. A lot of people like change. I love change. And I just like the new and different. I like to see, can I make a difference? And I particularly like coming out and talking to young people who have such fabulous futures ahead of them. So if there's any questions you'd like me to answer, I'll be happy to do that.